PayPal. PayPal just announced their earnings. Actually, it was last week. And so, for those of you out there that are not familiar with PayPal, they're a technology platform and they do digital payments that work with digital and mobile payments. And they work with both customers and merchants worldwide. They have obviously solutions including PayPal, PayPal Credit, Braintree, Venmo, which is very popular, Zoom, which is not as well known, but is a great solution that people could use to send money out of the country. And they also have Hyperwallet and iZettle as well. So the company's platforms, they basically allow customers to send and receive payments. They can withdraw money from their bank account. They can hold balances on PayPal accounts. I've used PayPal account for quite a while now, and it's pretty amazing system. So the company was founded in 1998, and a lot of people don't know this, but it was the primary payment option for eBay. That's really kind of what helped PayPal get to where they are now. So some Q2 key metrics. So, and I'll talk through some of these here in just a moment. So they had 403 million active accounts. They added 11.4 million net new accounts in a quarter. They had 4.7 billion payment transactions on the platform. They also did 311 payment volume, which is a 40% growth. The merchant services grew 48% in a quarter, which represents 96% of their total payment volume. Again, I'll go over that here in just a moment. The Venmo processed 58 billion in total payment volume, which grew 58% for the quarter. Amazing numbers. They did 43.5 payment transactions per active account, which is huge. That's really a growth driver for them. So some of the company expectations, the total payment volume, they expect to grow in the range of 33 to 35% for the year. The net revenue growth, they expect to grow 20% for the fiscal year to 25.75 billion. And the company expects to add 52 to 55 million net new accounts in fiscal year 2021. So let's talk a little bit about some of those numbers that I was kind of throwing at you for those of you who are not familiar with what I was talking about. So total dollar value of transactions conducted through PayPal's payments platform, that's kind of the total volume that they do. So while PayPal once tracked active customer accounts, the number of related transactions is a mean of highlight growth. These metrics today are more like directives. So they're trying to obtain more customers and they're trying to increase the number of transactions each customer makes. So how PayPal makes money is they get customers like us to get on their platform and then to use it a whole bunch, because the more that we use it, the more revenue that PayPal can gather. And the way that PayPal makes money is not necessarily on the transaction itself, it's on a percentage of the transaction. That's how they make money. It's called a take rate. And so in essence, whenever a vendor allows PayPal to use their payment processing, when we buy something with PayPal, the PayPal gets a small percentage of that transaction. It's very small. It's like generally like 0.02%. So it's very small, but the larger numbers that they do, that's how they drive revenue. So the more total payment volume they can get, so in other words, the more people can use their platform, the more money they can make. And so that's really kind of the whole, I guess, growth rate with them. And so one of the things that they really, really have been focusing on is not necessarily the percentage of money that they take from the transactions. It's more about growing people's use of the platform. And this is very common with Square as well. Square has really embraced this idea of trying to really, really grow what they're doing with people's activity. And so some of the key competitors that PayPal works against is Square, obviously, MasterCard, Visa, ADP, and Fidelity National Information Services, or FIS. So those are kind of some of my thoughts on PayPal. The company has done fantastic over the last 2 or 3 years, and they're guiding to more growth for the rest of the year, which is encouraging. Management, the CEO is considered probably one of the top CEOs in the fintech world, and he came over from Visa actually, and he's been with the company for a little while, and he really, really knows his stuff. And he's very energetic, very outgoing, and he's kind of entertaining to listen to. He's not one of the more boring CEOs sometimes when you listen to some of these earning calls. It's like they kind of put you to sleep. Like, oh my goodness, you guys are slow. But anyway, so PayPal. This is actually I'm along the company. I do own PayPal, and I've been a shareholder for almost a year now, and it's been a great investment. I think they're a fantastic company.
What's the most exciting thing about them?
What is the most exciting thing? I think the most exciting thing to me is they are working really hard to enable how people pay for things and trying to make it as frictionless as possible. That's a big word. It's a big buzzword you hear in people talking about some of these payment systems that are really coming to fore. And one of the things that PayPal has done, the little yellow button that you see when you go to buy things online, that's really their way of trying to make things easy. Instead of having to go through the hassle of creating an account and entering all your information in there, you have this little button that's connected to your PayPal, and you just literally press that button and your payment is made. And it's super, super slick and super easy. And so they're working really hard to make those payments as frictionless as they possibly can for the customers. They're also working to try to enhance and have more, I guess, traditional type banking services, like allowing you to have carry balances, and they're offering debit cards and credit cards. Because I use PayPal, I get a debit card, or I'm sorry, I get a credit card application request from them about every other week. So congratulations, you qualify for. So yeah, I don't know. I just think that they're really making it so much easier to use payments than some of the banks are, and that's what I like about them.
And I guess being a tech kind of thing, they have probably lower capital requirements and all of that.
Yes, they do. Yep, absolutely. So they're definitely in the realm of a very high ROIC. Their weighted average cost of capital is nice and low. So there's a nice big gap between those two, which helps give you comfort that, hey, this company is doing a good job of reinvesting, and they spend a lot of money in R&D. And they do acquisitions when it's convenient, not convenient, when it works for them to find different add-ons that they think will help benefit the platform. But it's all about the platform. They're trying to drive customers to the platform, and they're trying to work really hard to keep the customers on the platforms. It's very similar, frankly, to what I experienced when I was working at Wells Fargo. When I was at Wells, we were all about trying to, I guess, encourage people to embrace more of what the bank had to offer, because is the more the bank could get our tentacles into the financial lives of the customers, how much harder it was for the customer to leave the bank. So I guess it kind of goes back to that kind of retention rate. And the deeper the PayPal can get into people's lives and their finances, the harder it will be for them to leave, for sure.
I know this is like a loaded question, and I hate to put you on the spot like this, but like
Okay.
as a general kind of valuation point, do you think there's a good price for it, or is it been pretty fairly valued for a while in your opinion?
To be blunt, is probably more on the expensive side, honestly. I bought it because I was really struggling with the buying a great company at a good price as opposed to trying to find something on the cheaper end of the spectrum. And so I figured that frankly, I would just step out on a limb and try it with one or two companies. And this was one of the companies that I chose to see if I bought it at a high valuation, how it would do for me. And so far, it's been a good investment. But I do check on it regularly, and I do check the valuations and everything. But it's trading at a pretty high multiple, and if you run it through a DCF, it comes out on the higher end for sure.